welcome to the No Spin News. I'm Bill O'Reilly. The day is Wednesday. The date is February 11th, 2026. Stand up for your country. The worst thing you can do to me is lie to me. I guess if you hit me with a hammer or shot me in the head, that would be worse. But if you lie to me, and by you I mean human beings and institutions, whatever it may be, that's it. I have a hard time coming back from that. Now, as a Christian, I'm supposed to forgive, and I do. And somebody says, I'm really sorry about that falsehood. Yeah, but it's always in my mind, you know? Because lying is so easy to do. And it's so common in our society, but it's just such a deleterious thing. You got to be able to stand up and tell the truth. Now, routinely, both political parties mislead us, and they do it on purpose. They have propaganda arms. You know all that. Lies, well, you can debate one way or the other, but people do lie. Politicians, powerful people lie. There's no doubt about that. And tonight we're going to expose a huge lie, and that is the subject of this evening's Talking Points Memo. So the Democratic Party is holding up the spending bill, which is expiring Friday at midnight. And the government will have to partially shut down. You know, we do this every 2 months, right? But here's why they're holding it up. Because Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer and House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries really want to gut the Homeland Security apparatus and ICE in a specific way. They want to neutralize it so that Homeland Security will have a far more difficult time controlling undocumented migrants already in this country. That is what the Democratic Party wants. Okay, let me prove it to you. So Schumer and Jeffries say, we're not going to fund Homeland Security. ICE is already funded. Unless you do the following. No masks for ICE agents. Now, that's already been adjudicated in California. Federal judge says ICE agents can wear masks. 2, judicial warrants when a migrant is taken into custody. That is impossible. There are 15 million illegal aliens in this country. You couldn't possibly get a judge to sign off on every one of them. No immigration enforcement near hospitals, schools, churches. That means in a city, you could not have any enforcement. And finally, agents must wear body cameras. Okay? All right. And there's another one, it's a little murky, that any kind of action against migrants must be shared with local authorities, which, of course, gives the authorities the opportunity to tip off the migrants or the groups involved, which of course they would in the radical left states. All right, so that's what's in play. It's not going to happen. So the Republicans are going to say, we're not going to do this. And I don't know if the compromise will be reached. I assume it will be. Okay. So the rational conclusion about all these demands is the Democratic Party doesn't want any enforcement. They just don't. They want amnesty. But that has been the position of the Democratic Party for decades. Amnesty. Anybody here who's not a criminal should be allowed to stay. But now it's violent criminal. This is the big lie. You ready for the big lie? Here it comes. So the Democrats are saying just 14% of migrants that have been detained by ICE are violent criminals. Roll it.
It's not getting rid of the worst, which, by the way, less than 14% have been accused or have been convicted of violent crimes that are in holding right now with DHS, with ICE.
That is misleading in the extreme, and I don't know whether Leslie Marshall knows that or not, but she certainly hasn't done her research. Now, that 14% figure comes from a CBS News report that is totally erroneous. Why? Well, here are the non-violent crimes that don't fall under the 14%. Drug trafficking and use, DWI, all crimes of theft, all crimes of fraud. In addition, child pornography, endangerment, and child trafficking are not considered violent crimes. So we told you yesterday that Honduran migrants control the entire drug traffic in San Francisco and parts of Oakland, California. They wouldn't be subject to ICE detention because selling heroin, methamphetamine, cocaine, fentanyl, not violent crimes, according to Democrats. Not violent. Nope. Sell the fentanyl, guy dies. Nah, it's not violent. See what the fraud is? You see what the big lie is? When people hear this, they go, ICE is rounding up just poor farmers, poor hotel workers. Only 14% are violent criminals? Oh. What a lie. Okay, so the federal government, their stat is a little bit different. It says that 60% of all the undocumented people have been detained by Homeland Security, have committed some kind of criminal offense. That is probably true. Okay? Now, a criminal offense could be not showing up for a hearing, could be a lot of things. But if you are here illegally, you have snuck in or overstayed your visa, and you commit any crime, out of here. Right? Okay. So that's what we're dealing with here, a massive deception, and the press picks it up and runs. I don't know how many times I've heard the 14%. Why does CBS report that? I have no idea, but they're so lazy, these people. See, we researched all this. When we heard the 14, we went, no, that can't be possible. And then we come in, and it wasn't hard to find the classifications of different kinds of crimes. So this is a huge fraud. So summing up, Democratic Party doesn't want enforcement against undocumented migrants unless they're killers, rapists, or people like that. So if you're a fentanyl, heroin, cocaine dealer, come on. I'm not going to bother you. And that's the memo. Let's face it, the U.S. economy is under stress. National debt rising, trade war shaking the markets. And meanwhile, China is dumping the dollar and stockpiling gold. That's why I protected my savings with physical gold and silver through the only dealer I trust, American Hartford Gold. And you can do this. Get precious metals delivered to your door or place in a tax-advantaged gold IRA. They'll even help you roll over your existing IRA or 401k, tax and penalty free. With billions in precious metals delivered, thousands of five-star reviews, and an A+ from the Better Business Bureau, you can trust American Hartford Gold as I do. Please call 866-501-5201 or text BILL to 65532. Again, that's 866-501-5201 or text BILL to 65532. All right, now to foreign money inciting violence inside the USA. We're all over this story, and I haven't seen a lot of reporting on it. So yesterday there was a hearing in front of the House Ways and Means Committee about how foreign money coming into radical left groups being used to pay protesters or agitators, better word, to go to places like Minneapolis and cause trouble. LA, Portland, Oregon. So the money comes from a guy named Neville Roy Singham. This is the big guy. Lives in China, Shanghai. He's a communist. And he is raising hundreds of millions of dollars to destabilize the U.S. government. And joining us now from Washington, Washington is Congressman Kevin Hern from Oklahoma, who was a member of the House Ways and Means Committee. What did you learn yesterday in this hearing?
Well, thanks, Bill, for having me.
Sure.
You know, it's the old saying, follow the money. And we've talked about this for years. We've had the opportunity under the Biden administration and now the Trump administration to refer some 11 cases to the IRS for investigation. This hearing validated this through our witnesses. Even the Democrat witness was caught in a lie about his nonprofit, his foundation being funded by a nonprofit that was funded by a billionaire from Switzerland. So foreign money coming in, motivating these folks to go out and do what they're doing, protesting against ICE, trying to break up, what we're trying to do as far as sending people back, as you just alluded to. The Democrats have consistently wanted illegals to be able to stay here. When you look at the vote today we're having on the SAVE Act to say you need to be a legal citizen, you need to show your voter ID whenever you go, your ID to go vote. We're trying to push back on this narrative that illegals are going to run this country, and the 501c3s that are out there that have been put forth by these foreign billionaires to fund these riots, to fund these protests, has got to stop, and that's what we're doing. We're investigating every one of them.
Okay, but it's not just Democrats. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent could have started revoking 501cs in October, and he didn't do it, and he won't talk about it. Every time you ask him, he runs away. Now, he made some kind of thing last week where he's going to try to get a big investigative unit, but that's 6 months ago, and he doesn't seem to be too bullish on this thing. President Trump himself asked me for information. I don't know whether you know this or not, which I handed over to him as an American citizen, not as a journalist. But he asked me, he says, give me the names of the 501cs that are taking Singham's money and the billionaire from Switzerland you mentioned, and others. There are others all over the country, world doing this. Give me the names of them, and we'll revoke their 501cs, which I did. But it doesn't seem to me to be a compelling issue in Congress right now, and most of it's the Democrats' fault, but not all.
No, you're exactly right. That's why we're having these hearings. We're going to have more to point out the issues. You probably saw the exchange with the Democrat witness yesterday where he was caught in a lie about, again, the funding of his organization. We had great witnesses on the panel that answered all the questions. The Democrats didn't want to talk about anything as far as fraudulent funding with the 501c3s. All they wanted to talk about our tariffs and President Trump's an evil person. Republicans don't care.
Right.
We'll dig through this and we'll find the information to give Secretary Bessent to do his job over there.
Now, as a member of Congress, do you really believe that most of your Democratic peers in the House want to give amnesty to bad foreign nationals? Do you believe they want to do that?
No, but they detract from the actual issue, because I think when you get from away from the camera for a political piece, when they look at the policies, they will tell you that this is bad politics. In fact, after the hearing, many of the Democrats said, we've got to work on fixing this. This is an atrocity for America. They wouldn't say that at the hearing and on the camera, but behind the scenes, they know this is devastating for the freedoms of Americans, all Americans, because it can cut both ways. And that's something that we need to protect. It's our job in Congress. And that's what, again, when we're having these hearings, and build not just the not-for-profits, the for-profits also. We've got sovereign wealth funds that are funding litigation against companies and not paying any taxes on it, taking the money back to Saudi Arabia and elsewhere to the tunes of hundreds of millions of dollars. And I've got a bill out there, a third-party litigation funding act, that goes after these particular situations to expose them for what they're doing, which is, quite frankly, to our financial system is just as devastating. It's driving up insurance costs for companies and for individuals across America. And we're not trying to stop any of the lawsuits that are going on, but we want transparency. We want to make sure that these foreign actors are paying their appropriate taxes. Most are not paying any taxes at all on these big multi-million-dollar lawsuits. So there's a whole host of things we need to be looking at when it comes to foreign actors. And both of these are really devastating to the American economy and to the American people.
Real briefly, because I want to get to the voting thing. When you say they're not paying any taxes on litigation, most people don't understand what you mean.
Yeah, so they have a sovereign wealth fund. They come in, they call it a capital asset to pre-fund a lawsuit, meaning, like, let's just take a sovereign wealth fund from the Middle East. they'll come in and set up a fund and call it a capital investment. And then whenever it settles, they'll call it a capital gains. Well, capital gains are not paid by foreign individuals that are not U.S. citizens. So we're saying that
they make money here in our capitalistic system. They don't pay taxes. They ship the money back to whatever country they're from.
correct. And even the local sovereign wealth funds or the wealth funds in the United States that set these up for litigation, they get them classified as capital gains as opposed to ordinary income. And so we're going
Okay,
after
I
both
got
of
it.
these.
I got it. Okay. It's more of a grift than anything else. Now I'll go back to your peers on the Democratic side of the aisle in the House. It's inexplicable they wouldn't want to know who's voting, but they're opposing the SAVE Act. They don't want voter ID. Do you believe most of these people on the Democratic side really believe that that's good for the country?
Let's go back to the 2020 census when President Trump tried to get a question in there, are you a U.S. citizen or not? That's where it starts. Who's in the household? Because that's the Apportionment Act that determines how many members of Congress you have in each state and where they are. And so that was contested by Democrats and then ultimately was set aside where we couldn't have their language in there. Now here we are. We're having, first of all, the SAVE Act, which says you have to be a U.S. citizen to vote in our elections.
Which is the law already.
It is the law. And then
Right.
on top of that is to have an ID like we do in Oklahoma to identify yourself when you go up to cast your vote. Certainly in the federal elections, we have that responsibility. We have the opportunity to do that. And that's what we're going to be voting on today.
Yeah, and Democrats oppose that. Why?
Well, again, they're trying to protect the illegal immigrants in this country because they know that most of those are going to support the Democrats because the Democrats are supporting illegal immigration. And quite frankly, some of the people that are most put out by this or upset by this are the people who've done the legal immigration the right way. I just sent out a letter yesterday to my staff and others that for the last 25 years, we've legalized anywhere between 750,000 and 1 million people a year going through the system that we've always had. And so it's not that we're against immigration, we're against illegal immigration. And
Yeah,
so,
sure. I mean, the pathway, but you guys should pass a new updated immigration law, that's for sure. You're relying on 1952. Last question.
but it's still, Bill, it's still allowing almost 1 million people a year to come through the process.
Okay,
And,
but it needs to be. It needs to be more sharply defined as far as enforcement and penalties. That's what it needs. Right now, it's all over the place. And the states are obviously ignoring it in many, many instances. Last question. Do you believe that these organizations inside the United States, both nonprofit and profit, you believe the Justice Department is going to start to crack down on these people who are absolutely paying agitators to break down our system? Is that going to happen?
Yeah, to my knowledge, the first time since I've been here for almost 8 years that we've had a hearing on just this in Ways and Means to talk about the taxation policy, because this is a non-issue if the 501c3s are stripped of their non-tax status. And so we're going after that direction. There's been obviously very politicized hearings on judiciary and oversight on these, but we're going after it from a tax standpoint, which I think is really brings in the Treasury Department, also from the DOJ standpoint. If Treasury is involved, we have a dual attack on these folks doing this. That if for the first time, certainly since in my adult life, we're doing things that haven't been done before. So I think we're going to be successful. We have a close working relationship with Secretary Bessent and the president, so we're going to make sure we move forward.
All right, if you see the secretary, tell him to come on this program because he's been disrespectful to us, and that's not good. Anyway, Congressman, we hope you will come back as well when anything significant happens. We really appreciate your time. Thank you. If you are stressed out about getting out of debt, please listen to this. According to the Federal Reserve's latest survey, many banks have tightened their standards, which means right now could be your best window for negotiating settlements before lenders tighten up even further. And Done with Debt is one of the best I've seen at navigating debt relief. Done with Debt tracks credit card and loan company behavior, so they know who's negotiating and when, and how to get you the biggest reduction possible without bankruptcy or new loans. Done with Debt helps you through the debt relief process so you can keep more of your paycheck every month. So don't wait for lenders to tighten up their policies. Visit donewithdebt.com now. Talk with a debt specialist. It is free. donewithdebt.com. Most people do not want a lecture when they are ill. They want medication fast. But too often, the system makes it harder than it should be. Appointments take weeks. Prescriptions get denied. Your insurance gets in the way. That's why more Americans are switching to all family pharmacy. If you already know what medication works for you, all family pharmacy makes it easy to get it. You order online, licensed doctor reviews a request, and your medication is delivered directly to your own door. They carry everyday prescription medications, antibiotics, ivermectin, NAD+, others you will not always find at big chain pharmacies. So choose freedom. Choose the right pharmacy. Choose All Family Pharmacy. Please go to allfamilypharmacy.com/Bill. Use my code BILL10. Save 10% on your next order. All right, here's the final thought of the day. If you watch television news, it's all Nancy Gutherie all the time. And it's speculation, and I can't watch it. And I don't really have to because I got a staff that's, funneling me hard news. And if it's hard news, I certainly pay attention to it. So why is this story so mesmerizing to so many Americans? Number one, it's about mom. Okay, mom is the core of all families. Number two, there's a celebrity involved, Savannah Guthrie, the Today Show lady. And number three, it's a mystery. So you got a nice house in Arizona outside of Tucson, and all of a sudden, the lady who lives there, Nancy Gutherie, disappears. And nobody knows where she is, and now there's allegedly ransom, and it's a mystery. It's like a TV series. So the Americans are willing to sit there hour after hour after hour hearing speculation. And you get a panel, 18 people, and well, maybe this happened. That could have happened. Well, I don't know. And then the networks send all of their commentators out there, anchors. I mean, I was clicking around last night before I went on Leland's program, and I don't get involved with analyzing Nancy Gutherie because that's not what we do here. But I noticed that Jake Tapper was standing next to a cactus, and I had trouble telling them apart. Little jest. Anyway, they're out there, but they don't have anything. So they have to kill airtime. If they eat it, they don't know what to say. So they say it over and over and over and over and over. Now, I went through this when John F. Kennedy Jr.'s plane went down in Long Island Sound. It was exactly the same thing. So he goes up with his wife and his wife's sister from Jersey. He's trying to get to Martha's Vineyard, and boom, the plane goes down. And nobody knows why or where. There's fog and this and that. Everybody's watching the show. And I'm doing the factor. And I'm going, we don't know anything. And no, yeah, and the segment's rated. That means more people would watch than usual. That's what's happened with Nancy Gutherie. So all the television shows or news shows coming up, more people watching. And it drove me nuts. I mean, I'm sitting there and I'm going, what am I supposed to ask these people? They don't know what happened. I don't know what happened. What are we supposed to talk about for 8 minutes? Oh, you'll think of something. That was the answer. You'll think of something. I didn't think of something. So I got to the point now, because the Kennedy thing went on and on and on and on. All right? I got to the point where I just tell the audience, look, so many people are interested in this story. We have to do it. And I racked my brains to find creative angles and different ways to do it. Couldn't do it. It was just the same old stuff every day. That's what's happening now. One more thing. you know, I feel terrible. I know Savannah a little bit. She's very, very respectful to me. And I think about my own mother, because my mom lived alone for a little while, and somebody coming in and dragging her out of there, and so that emotional attachment is there. And the only thing that we can do, if you're religious, is pray, you know, and I'll offer Mass for the Gutherie family on Sunday. But it is it's one of these things. So thank you very much for watching No Spin News tonight. I'm Bill O'Reilly. We'll see you again tomorrow. Thank you for watching. To view full episodes of the No Spin News anytime, sign up to become a BillO'Reilly.com premium or concierge member today.